Here for the 12:45 appointment.
Sure, yeah, just need to see your proof of vaccination or negative COVID test.
I'm gonna have you point me to the Constitution and tell me where it's your right to demand that of me.
Sir.
Just like it was my right to put my key in my ignition in my car and drive over to your private facility and
I don't
book
get paid
yourself on my
enough to
business.
argue with you about this, sir.
Look, son, I did not come over here to give you a history lesson. It's my right to put this foot in front of one other. It's my right to put this other foot
I can't
in front
let
of
you in.
another. All right. Oh, do it again. Do it one more time. It's your right to do that. And it's my right to not take my foot out. Look, son, I served in the military. What'd you do?
Sir, I don't need to talk to you about this.
You need to talk to me right now. And we're going to have a conversation about rights and what they mean. It's my right to think the thought of you not telling me the right that I'm coming in here. And it's my right to book myself private service. Just like it's our right to take land from the native people that live here.
It's your boy, Young Butt Piss. Fuck you, autism speaks. Y'all treat autism like it's a disease. You fucker shouldn't be allowed to breathe. Suck my fucking peen, you fucking dick weeds. I'm running out of patience, cause only a small percent of your donations goes to the autistic nation. All the rest is used for your vacations. Fuck your little crack organization, like Jesus fucking Christ. An entire charity that's fucking ableist. Who the fuck enabled this? Your CEO isn't even.
So this is what's actually been happening on the New York City subway and how the cops have done nothing to help. There are serious issues on the subway, from failing infrastructure to only 27% accessibility for disabled people, no protection between the riders and the platform, the mental health crisis, the housing crisis. But the cops aren't helping with anything. When Michelle Alisigo was fatally shoved into the tracks, there were 2 cops on the platform. When there was a subway shooter at Sunset Park, a man named Zach, who was working at a deli, was the one who captured the shooter. Not the police, who let the shooter get away. Okay, well, since then, Eric Adams has doubled the amount of police on the subway, and what has that done? They arrest street vendors, ticket them, and say racist stuff like,
"Oh my God, you speak English."
Which Eric Adams' response has been,
next day is propane tanks being on the subway system. Next day is barbecuing on the subway system. You just can't do that. And I keep saying I'm not going to send my officers mixed messages.
They illegally arrest beloved street performers, which Eric Adams' response was,
and my officers and your officers are going to do it in a professional, courteous manner. So I'm proud of those officers.
Many of the piggies like to play on their phones, which Eric Adams told,
send me a shot. New Yorkers, you see that? Send me a photo and I would be at that station.
Yet he didn't respond or go to any stations when people took photos of the police on their phone and sent it to him. They ignore the subway mask mandate, which still exists today. They hide to catch fare evaders and criminalize poverty. With a 64% increase in arrests since last year, they have given 17,000 tickets for fare evasion and 600 for obstructing seats. 600 seating violations basically means criminalizing homeless people for sleeping on the subway. Like I said at the start of this video, there are serious issues in New York exacerbated by the pandemic. But Eric Adams' response to everything always being more police clearly is not working.
Oh, so they're being detained because of the shopping cart, for like theft of the shopping cart?
Would you mind not interrupting us while we're doing our job, please?
Oh.
Feel free to stand there if you'd like, but you have no right to interrupt what we're doing here, okay?
Okay.
I'd be happy to help you get everything out of the car.
Yeah, unless you have permission from the owner in writing, you can't possess a shopping cart off the store property.
If you need help moving your stuff, I have a car down there and I can help you get somewhere else. I'm offering services. It's okay.
You can do that after we're done here, okay?
Okay.
So,
all right.
Idea. Once you unload it, you can take it back. Great. If you want to leave it here unloaded, our city workers come by and they pick them up when they find them, and they'll drop them back off.
3 officers for a shopping cart. So that's the shopping cart. There's 1 officer. I won't show you the people being detained. 2, 3 officers. And it looks like they're getting a warning for possession of a shopping cart after being detained. How long did they have you out here detained for? Yeah, how long did they keep you here for?
About 5 minutes.
Alright.
You are?
I'm Barbara.
Hi, Barbara. I'm Janine. Nice to meet you.
Sorry to get in your business.
No.
7 things you can't do and be anti-racist at the same time. Number 1, you can't remain comfortable and be anti-racist at the same time. 2, you can't avoid difficult conversations and be anti-racist at the same time. 3, you can't say, I don't see color, and be anti-racist at the same time. 4, you can't exploit the free labor of Black people on social media every day and be anti-racist at the same time. 5, you can't say, I'm not racist, and be anti-racist at the same time. 6, you can't spend your money with only white-owned brands and be anti-racist at the same time. 7, you can't be silent about racism in your real life but loud on social media and be anti-racist at the same time. It's all about your actions. Anti-racism is a lifestyle, not a diet. Are you really as anti-racist as you think you are?
This is a work of
remains conceptual and remains uncertain.
You're simply not a leftist. If your leftism comes with a caveat, your leftism says that a group of people should not exist or that their value as a human is lesser. You're not a leftist. The whole point of leftism is that we progress. The whole point of theory is to be more nuanced. If your leftism is as simple as black freedom and freedom from capitalism and freedom from the patriarchy, you have zero amounts of nuance. I hate when people say that identity politics is getting in the way of leftism. These are not just simply identities. People die because of these things. You would gladly sacrifice the most marginalized within our communities for a chance for some of us to have freedom. That's not my leftism. I'm not leaving nobody behind. And if you think real leftism is leaving some people behind, I suggest you pick up a book and don't get leftism from movies.
Okay, so she's a 10, but her belly makes up like half her body weight.
She's a fucking 12.
My professor started talking about how you should say child diagnosed with autism instead of saying autistic child.
Yeah, I actually just wanted to step in as an autistic person and say that many autistic people actually prefer identity first language rather than person first language, because separating it from the person can actually be more harmful than helpful.
Don't let anyone convince you that something you genuinely enjoy is weird, because they are weird for caring so much about what you enjoy.
I want to talk to you guys about red lipstick. I'm dating a white person for the first time, and we were getting ready together, and my girlfriend reached for red lipstick and red lip gloss. And they're like, oh, it's my favorite. It's so elegant, it's classic, it's very old Hollywood. That is not the messaging given to young girls of color about red lipstick. I was told that it would make you look too grown, it makes you look like a hoochie, it makes you look like you deserve to be assaulted. I've heard that. And also the classic, it just doesn't look good on your skin tone. It's so sad to me to see how something as simple as a lipstick color is so racialized and to have such a stark difference between what we have been told. Do I think brown lipstick looks better on me? Yes. But why do I think that?
When asked, most men will say they believe in gender equality at home and at work. But when given an anonymous survey, those results change a lot. A lot of men want to be seen as a feminist, but their actions don't back that up. In her book, For the Love of Men, Liz Plank cites this study that might surprise you. Over time, the belief that there should be gender equality at work has, steadied out. It's pretty high. Attitudes for if it's okay for a mom to have a job, they have improved. But look at this. The belief in equal partnership at home, where there is a split in domestic labor and decision-making, that belief peaked in the 90s and has decreased consistently since then. Less men today believe in equal partnership at home than they did in the 90s. While the attitudes of women being in the workplace and women's participation in the workplace has consistently grown, plateaued over the last few years, but grown, look at this gap. More women are heading households financially, but they're still doing generally 2 times the domestic labor at home. So out loud, a lot of men are reading feminist theory and saying they want to empower women while demanding free domestic labor. Men are capable caregivers, and real partnership looks like sharing the mental load. If you're not at home empowering your partner by doing the laundry, don't wear the shirt.
I know we've kind of already talked about how white Gen Z folks just kind of use AAVE. They say our words and they pass it off as their own. We've already talked about that. But why it's so sad? Because when I was a kid, white girls was in a bag. Do you remember As If? Remember when white girls, you used to look at you and go, as if? Y'all was in y'all bag when y'all made that. That shit was filthy. You don't even need AAV. I was in elementary school. A white girl said to me, talk to the hand, the face ain't home. Leave a message at the tone. I didn't even have a phone. I was 9. That's dirty, bro. That's dirt. Remember whatever? Remember when we was all walking around living in fear of a white girl going, whatever? Bro, whatever went double platinum with no features. Y'all used to be artists. You guys used to make art. Get back at that.
I joined a conservative dating app so you guys could see what it's like. I don't know if you remember this commercial.
To announce a dating app for all of us conservatives.
I waited on the wait list for months for this. At first, the dating app was just like anything else. It asked for my hometown, and I was pretty shocked that it included most religious beliefs. It asked my gender, but it didn't ask what gender I'm attracted to. Also, this is my profile. My name is Beth. I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm Muslim, and I live, laugh, love. Now here's where the dating prompts got a little weird. Random fact I love about America. Favorite liberal lie. January 6th was... Let me know if you guys want a part 2 of my experience.
My fiance said I could try on the fancy ones, and I'm gonna pair them with weapons and then rate them. I feel like I could run an inn in this. I know where all the good jobs in town are. I feel like no weapon other than having the tavern brawler feat. I could get you with one of my mugs. And I don't know, back end of a table leg. I feel like I could serve drinks or looks or both at the same time in this. And 10 out of 10 because it has pockets. I feel like this one is somewhere in between Merida and Shalon from the Stormlight Archives. I feel like I could either do some moonlighting as a light weaver, or I could shoot a bow from a very long, long way away. I would give it 10 out of 10. But it don't got pockets, and we gotta work with the rules we've made. I feel like this one might have implications on how I live my life from now on, because I feel like a very powerful witch, and I don't know if I can go back. It has pockets, so it's already a 10 out of 10. It has this, which makes me feel very good. It looks great here. It looks great here. It has these. It flows. It's amazing. I could cast a spell. I could turn you into a newt, and you'd probably like it. 10 out of 10. Yeah, things are definitely not going back to the way they were before. I can brew potions now, apparently, and also this appeared out of nowhere. 10 out of 10 because it does still have pockets, but also not as important now because I feel like I could make pocket dimensions if I wanted to. 10 out of 10, if not 15 out of 10, happy spooky season, and have a good day.
I think what Lido is saying is that, colonialism may seem like a thing of the past, but it's, affecting all of us all of the time on every level. And at the very least we can do is to acknowledge how it's created a major imbalance in our everyday life and society.
That's exactly it. I guess this show it's really working.
We'll see you next time.
Peanut butter jelly time. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Now there you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. Peanut butter jelly. Peanut butter jelly. Peanut butter jelly. Peanut butter jelly.
Upper middle class black children are not failing standardized tests.
Yes,
they're doing
because
just as
they're
well as other
rich.
middle class kids.
So then
there
there
you
is
go.
not a race problem.
There's a class
There's a
issue.
poverty problem that has been exacerbated by first slavery, then segregation, then Yes. Jim Crow, Yes. then bias. Yes. But what are the answers to help to help ameliorate all of these problems?
Let's say it at the
And
same
that's-
time. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Reparations. No?
Reparations in the form of making school teachers work 240 days a year instead of 180.
You
Make
want them to work
8
more?
hours a day. Make school go from 8:30 in the morning to 5:30 in the evening.
What?
For my brothers with long hair, I got a quick styling tip for you. Just listen. Go ahead and pick your hair out, my brother. And I would recommend get you a wooden pick and a carbon fiber pick. I only use the metal one for length. Now get you a rat tooth comb and make that part, you know what I'm saying? Make sure it's clean. Get you a book. You know, we like to read. And use that as like your guideline to make sure that part is clean. You get what I'm saying? We looking like Frederick Douglass. Now, get you a scarf, a silk scarf, if you will, and buff that thing down like it's some shoes, you know what I'm saying? We shoe shining over here. I'm in a show right now, and I was asked if I would be okay with cutting my hair for my character, which I declined because there's so many different ways we can style our hair outside of the 3 beauty standards that they have for us. I'm out here looking like one of the temps. Papa was a rolling stone, and it's all good because I said so. We bringing it back, you feel me? Pride and ownership in any space and any place. Keep your crown, my brothers.
America does not love black women that it can't silence and objectify. And that's exactly what the Aunt Jemima trope was. A silent, smiling object to be propped up on their breakfast tables and consumed. I'm Dara Star Tucker, and this is The Breakdown. Many of you might have first encountered my content from a video of mine that addressed this issue last year. Aunt Jemima does not belong on the front of a pancake box. Now, initially, I didn't understand why the removal of the character touched a nerve with people like it did, but I was glad to help folks come to a better understanding of why PepsiCo and Quaker finally made the decision to remove the Aunt Jemima name and image after 130 years. PepsiCo Quaker has always maintained that Aunt Jemima has never been based on any one person. And they're right, there is no real Aunt Jemima. She's based on the creation of a white man in blackface. She's a slave mammy of the plantation South. The first woman to play Aunt Jemima, Nancy Green, didn't embody the character until a few years after it was named. They just used a crude drawing of a mammy at first. And Nancy didn't die rich, far from it. She was fired by Quaker after she refused to go overseas to promote the product. After that, she lived with her niece and nephew because she couldn't afford her own home. She was very benevolent, but far from wealthy. Many other women have played the character and appeared on the box over the years, but the final caricature depicted on the box for the last 30 years was a composite figure created by a cartoonist after groups like the NAACP had complained about the usage of a mammy figure for decades. It wasn't an ideal solution, but it helped for a while. The crazy part is that Quaker had erased all memory of Nancy Green, the first woman to portray Aunt Jemima, until the early 2000s, when Chicago historian Sherry Williams did some research and discovered her history. She was buried in an unmarked pauper's grave. When Sherry reached out to PepsiCo Quaker to request that they help with paying for a tombstone for her, they refused. Sherry eventually raised the money and had the tombstone installed herself. By now, I would think most people would be aware of why the pancake mix was rebranded, but I've started to see more and more social media pages, particularly from Black creators, blaming cancel culture for removing the image of a supposedly successful black woman for no good reason. Political operatives have a vested interest in keeping low vibration culture wars like this going. It allows them to drive a wedge between people with very easy to understand issues like mammies on syrup bottles. Issues like this are a gift to them. People don't have to investigate them deeply or inform themselves of any historical or political realities. Just convince them that the liberal left hates black people so much that they want to remove their images from grocery store shelves. Hopefully they'll remember that at election time. A 12-year-old could understand that. And believe me, there were plenty of them in my comment section railing against the so-called cancel culture that took away their favorite plantation dweller. The viral post that I made about Aunt Jemima was one of the best and worst things I've ever done online. It helped me to launch my social media presence, but behind the scenes, I was being barraged with the most vile, hateful, racist comments I had ever had to deal with. I was called the N-word more times than I could count. I was insulted in every way possible. I even received death threats over a syrup bottle. The issue struck a chord with a lot of people, and I quickly learned that this goes way deeper than pancakes. This really has to do with our culture's desire to control black identity, particularly black female identity. Contrary to what many talking heads would have you believe, the movement to remove that mammy image and name didn't come from woke left-wing liberals. It came from black people. The NAACP was protesting that image from day one, but more recently, black women were at the forefront of calls to remove it. The singer Kirby was the first person to make a TikTok video addressing this controversy just weeks after the killing of George Floyd in 2020. That was the video that created the final public outcry against the brand and led PepsiCo and Quaker to rebrand. In my estimation, the real issue was that this long-standing stereotype of black womanhood was being trifled with. Historically, it was always something to deride and to mock. Let's not forget that the reason her image was used in the first place was to remind white people of the mammies that they grew up with or wish they did. The product was failing before they started using her image as a marketing tactic. She was never meant to be seen as having any agency. She wasn't portrayed as the owner of the brand. She was always meant to be a servant. It only takes one cursory look at the marketing around that caricature to figure that out. They buffed and shined her up over the years because of continual protests from the black community, but she remains what she has always been, a slave in a box, because that's what she was created to be. But the legacy of that character has often been conflated with the legacy of the women who portrayed her. Some would have you believe that to call out the blatant racism of putting this character on a box of pancake mix is to disrespect the memories of Nancy Green, Anna Short Harrington, Lillian Richards, and the many women who helped develop this character over the years, as if there's no way to celebrate those women and the legacy they left behind while simultaneously acknowledging that it was time to retire this racist trope. Quaker has never properly compensated or honored those women, and that's absolutely unacceptable. The families sued PepsiCo and Quaker for back royalties for the use of these women's images in 2014. They also claimed that these women helped to develop the recipe and that Quaker never paid them for it, but they had no proof and the suit was thrown out. The removal of that caricature is a complex issue. It's really tied to the legacy of black women in America and how their descendants have grappled with that legacy over the years. The descendants of Nancy Green, Anna Short Harrington, and Lillian Richards, who all played the Aunt Jemima character. Sherry Williams, who rediscovered the existence of Nancy Green and did her best to bring honor to her memory. Public figures like Deborah Roberts and Gayle King, who have reported on this story. Kirby, who raised this issue at a crucial time and affected real change. And me, a black woman who's seeking to educate people around issues of race and culture. We've all lived with a deep understanding of what these mammy stereotypes represent, and our attempts to address the rebranding have taken many forms. We speak out against the mammy stereotype. We speak out in support of the women who put food on the table for their families by portraying that stereotype. We speak out because our mothers and grandmothers could not. What really surprised me about the thousands and thousands of negative comments that I and others have received for speaking up about this is how young many of the commenters were. Many of them were young boys. If you're a black woman in America, chances are you've heard the term Aunt Jemima being thrown around pejoratively. There was nothing positive associated with it. That is, until they decided to remove it. Then suddenly she was everyone's favorite grandma. They couldn't live without her. When the real truth was, the target of their objectification was being erased. Had any of them ever fought this hard to protect a real-life black woman? Clearly not. They've attacked a real-life black woman for the right to objectify a fake one. And that's why a lot of this rhetoric around preserving this beloved character rings hollow. How many people reposting this planted outrage story know who Madam C.J. Walker is, the real first black female millionaire? How many of them turn up their nose when Oprah Winfrey's name is mentioned, the wealthiest black woman in America? How many of them celebrated Michelle Obama when she became the first black woman to become America's first lady? One of the few TikTok videos where I've had to disable comments was when I posted an innocuous video of Michelle Obama. I don't even have words to describe how disgusting those comments were. You can't post about Serena Williams, Whoopi Goldberg, Stacey Abrams, or any black woman with a voice without running into the same nonsense. America does not love black women that it can't silence and objectify. And that's exactly what the Aunt Jemima trope was, a silent, smiling object to be propped up on their breakfast tables and consumed. And when black women said that's enough, their true feelings about us came to the surface. But we will continue to speak out for those black women who have been objectified and silenced. And we will insist that we be regarded as more than the caricature that they have made us out to be.